The story begins with flashing cameras, glittering lights, and a face that everyone in America thought they knew. Tommy Rivers. He was only 9 years old when he became the nation's sweetheart. His big blue eyes, golden curls, and angelic smile melted the hearts of millions. Every talk show host called him the perfect child star, and his movies were breaking box office records. Parents adored him, kids wanted to be him. Hollywood producers saw him as a goldmine. But what the world didn't know was that behind those innocent eyes lurked something much darker. Tommy's rise to fame wasn't accidental. His mother, Marissa Rivers, had been chasing fame her entire life. When her acting career failed, she turned all her ambitions onto her son. From the moment he could walk, Tommy was trained, rehearsed, and forced into auditions. He wasn't playing with toys, he was memorizing scripts. He wasn't going to school, he was being polished for the cameras. On set, people admired how well-behaved he was. Always smiling, never throwing tantrums like other child stars. But the truth, Tommy wasn't behaving because he was good. He was behaving because he knew how to manipulate. One evening, after a long day of shooting his breakout movie, the crew was packing up. A production assistant, just a young guy trying to earn his first Hollywood credit, accidentally spilled water on Tommy's costume. It was a harmless mistake, but Tommy's smile vanished instantly. His eyes narrowed, and he whispered something so quietly that only the assistant could hear. "You're not going to work here tomorrow." The next day, that assistant was fired. No explanation given. The crew brushed it off as coincidence, but those who had been around longer knew better. Tommy had influence. He knew how to cry at just the right time, how to act innocent when producers were watching, and how to twist situations so that anyone who upset him paid the price. At home, it was worse. Marissa, desperate to maintain their perfect family image, allowed Tommy to do whatever he wanted as long as he behaved in front of cameras. If he wanted something, he got it. If someone said no, they disappeared from his life. Tutors quit, babysitters left, even his own father eventually walked out, leaving Marissa to deal with a child she no longer controlled. One night, Marissa found something disturbing in Tommy's room. It wasn't toys or comic books, he didn't care about those. No, Tommy had a collection of photographs. Pictures of the crew, the cast, even random people they had met at events. Each photo had scratches on it, deep, angry marks across faces. Some had the eyes cut out. Others had words scribbled in red marker: liar, fake, gone. Marissa confronted him, horrified. "Tommy, why would you do this?" He just smiled. That same sweet, angelic smile that melted millions of hearts. "Because they deserve it." As Tommy's fame grew, so did his darkness. He became untouchable. Directors who didn't want to hire him were pressured by studios. Co-stars who complained mysteriously lost their careers. And every time someone tried to expose him, they found themselves silenced. But there was one incident, one terrifying incident, that made even the most loyal crew members realize something wasn't right with Tommy Rivers. It happened on the set of a horror movie. Ironically, Tommy was playing a possessed child, and critics were already predicting awards for his performance. The director praised his natural talent for evil expressions and eerie silence. What no one realized was that Tommy wasn't acting. During one late-night shoot, the crew had to film a scene where Tommy's character scares another child actor. The scene required a fake knife, rubber, safe for kids. But somehow, the prop was switched. When the cameras rolled, Tommy lunged at the boy with a real blade. The scream that followed wasn't scripted. The boy collapsed, blood spilling onto the set. Panic erupted. The director yelled, "Cut!" thinking it was an accident. The studio rushed to cover it up, claiming it was a freak prop malfunction. But those who were there that night, those who saw the glimmer in Tommy's eyes as the other child bled, they knew. Tommy wasn't shocked, he wasn't scared, he was enjoying it. The boy survived, but his career didn't. His family disappeared from Hollywood, never speaking publicly about the incident. And Tommy, his career only skyrocketed higher. By the time he was 12, he was earning millions, living in a mansion, and being worshipped as the perfect American child. But behind closed doors, people whispered. Crew members swapped horror stories. Assistants warned each other never to cross him. And anyone who did, simply vanished. The world still saw him as a star. But those who truly knew him, they saw the truth. Tommy Rivers wasn't just a child star. He was evil. By the time Tommy Rivers turned 13, Hollywood had given him a crown. He was the boy every network wanted, the face plastered across cereal boxes, magazine covers, and billboards. Talk show hosts gushed over his humility, his adorable manners, and his bright future. The fans screamed his name. Producers lined up to sign him. But while the world adored him, those who worked closest to Tommy were beginning to see cracks in his carefully polished image. It started small, strange accidents on set, incidents no one could explain. A camera light would fall, nearly crushing a crew member. A co-star would trip on a wire that wasn't there before. Costumes would go missing right before a live performance. Everyone laughed nervously, blaming bad luck, but the crew knew better. Because every time something went wrong, Tommy was there, smiling. One director, a veteran in the industry, noticed the pattern. He had worked with child stars before, seen meltdowns, tantrums, and breakdowns. But Tommy was different. He didn't throw fits when he didn't get his way, he plotted. His punishments were quiet, invisible, but always effective. During the filming of one television series, Tommy had a co-star, a girl about his age named Lily. She was talented, sweet, and quickly became a fan favorite. The chemistry between them was undeniable. But behind the scenes, Lily noticed something chilling. Tommy never stayed in character. Even when the cameras weren't rolling, he kept that same angelic smile. And when she caught him staring at her, unblinking, with those piercing eyes, it made her skin crawl. One afternoon, while waiting for a scene, Lily accidentally overheard Tommy whispering to himself. At first, she thought he was rehearsing lines. But when she listened closer, her blood ran cold. "They'll see. They'll all see. No one takes the spotlight from me." That night, Lily's trailer caught fire. The cause was faulty wiring, according to the studio's official report. But Lily told her parents what she had overheard. They pulled her from the show immediately. The next week, tabloids reported that Lily had left the industry to focus on school. Another name erased, another rival gone. But Tommy's cruelty wasn't limited to co-stars. He began toying with the people who served him, assistants, makeup artists, even bodyguards. One assistant later confessed in a hushed interview that Tommy would call him at 3 in the morning, demanding bizarre things, a bowl of strawberries cut into perfect halves, or a glass of water that had to be poured, swirled, and set down exactly 3 times before Tommy would drink it. If the assistant failed, Tommy would laugh, then whisper, "You won't last here." And he never did. Within weeks, the assistant was replaced. The darker side of Tommy Rivers remained hidden from the public. But the cracks in his mask widened one night at a glamorous Hollywood party. It was a gathering of celebrities, executives, and influencers, an event where Tommy, still only 13, was treated like royalty. Cameras flashed, champagne flowed, and the boy star was surrounded by admirers. But one paparazzo caught something strange. Away from the red carpet, Tommy was seen cornering a younger child actor. His smile had vanished, replaced with a cold, calculating stare. Witnesses claimed they saw Tommy gripping the boy's arm so tightly the child whimpered. The boy tried to pull away, but Tommy leaned in and whispered something that made him freeze in terror. When the paparazzo snapped a photo, Tommy quickly turned, flashing his angelic smile again, pretending it was all harmless play. The photo was published the next day, but nobody questioned it. Headlines praised his protective big brother energy. Only those who saw the truth knew it was something else entirely, control. Meanwhile, Tommy's mother, Marissa, was unraveling. Years of covering up scandals, silencing rumors, and living in fear of her own son had broken her down. She drank more, she slept less, and she started writing in a journal, a desperate attempt to make sense of what was happening under her roof. One chilling entry read, "Greater than, I don't know who he is anymore. Sometimes I think, he's not even my son. I've seen him stare into the mirror for hours, smiling at himself, whispering things I can't hear. His eyes, they aren't a child's eyes. There's something else, something wrong, God help me." But no one could help Marissa. Tommy controlled her too. When a journalist came sniffing around, digging into rumors about Tommy's behavior, Marissa was the one forced to give the perfect interviews, smiling and swearing her son was just a normal, happy kid. She was terrified of him, but more terrified of losing everything they had built. Then came the charity gala. A massive event broadcast live, with Hollywood's elite in attendance. Tommy was scheduled to perform a simple piano piece to show off his talent. The world expected sweetness, innocence. But when Tommy sat at the piano, something strange happened. The lights dimmed, the room went silent, and instead of the soft, cheerful tune he had rehearsed, Tommy began playing a haunting, violent melody. His fingers pounded the keys, filling the hall with a sound that felt almost dangerous. Guests shifted uncomfortably. Some whispered, others applauded nervously, not sure if it was part of the act. And when Tommy finished, he stood up, bowed, and whispered into the microphone. "You'll never forget me." The crowd erupted into confused applause. The media hailed it as genius, artistic, a bold new direction. But those who sat in that room described something else, something they couldn't put into words. A feeling of being watched, of being trapped. Tommy Rivers wasn't just performing. He was sending a message. And for the first time, Hollywood began to wonder. Was this child star a prodigy, or something far more dangerous? By the time Tommy Rivers turned 15, he was no longer a child star. He was an empire. His movies grossed hundreds of millions. His merchandise filled toy stores. His face, still angelic, still adored, was everywhere. But the boy behind that smile had grown darker, sharper, and far more dangerous. Hollywood insiders whispered about him in hushed tones. Crew members swapped warnings like soldiers in a war zone. Don't look him in the eye for too long. Don't contradict him in front of producers. Don't ever say no. Because those who did, disappeared. And then came the incident that shattered everything. It was the set of his newest film, a highly anticipated thriller. The production was massive, with an A-list director, seasoned actors, and millions invested. Tommy was playing the lead again, because of course he was. But this time, people noticed he seemed different. His smiles were sharper, his moods darker, and during rehearsals, he was far too convincing in violent scenes. One of his co-stars, an older actor with decades of experience, pulled the director aside. "This kid isn't acting," he whispered. "There's something wrong with him." The director shrugged it off. "He's just talented." But everyone else on set could feel it, the tension, the unspoken fear. Then came the night shoot. The scene required Tommy to chase a supporting actor through a darkened corridor. The script called for a fake struggle, a staged attack. Everything was set. Prop weapons, controlled choreography, safety supervisors. But when the cameras rolled, Tommy didn't follow the script. Instead, he lunged with terrifying precision, pinning the actor to the ground. His hands tightened around the man's throat. The crew thought it was incredible acting, until the actor's face turned red, his eyes bulging. People shouted, "Cut!" But Tommy didn't stop. It took 3 crew members to drag him off. The actor was rushed to the hospital, barely surviving. The official report blamed a miscommunication in choreography. But those who saw it knew the truth. Tommy hadn't made a mistake. He had enjoyed it. From that day forward, fear followed him everywhere. The crew avoided eye contact. Producers tiptoed around him. Even his mother, Marissa, seemed like a shadow of herself, pale, silent, and trembling whenever Tommy was near. Her journal entries became more frantic. Greater than, he's changing. Not just growing up, changing. Sometimes I see him standing in the dark, staring at me while I sleep. His smile never moves. I hear him whispering at night, but when I open the door, he's already pretending to be asleep. He's my son, but he's not my son. I think he hates me. I think he's planning something. And she was right, because soon after, Marissa vanished. The official story was that she had checked into a wellness retreat overseas. Paparazzi were told to respect her privacy. But no one ever saw her again. No photos, no calls, no trace. Tommy, when asked about her in interviews, would just smile and say she needed a break. But those who knew him, the ones who had seen his true face, were terrified of what a break really meant. Then, as if fate itself was pulling back the curtain, one final incident exposed the monster behind the mask. It was during a live television interview. Millions were watching. Tommy, now older but still carrying that angelic charm, was being praised by the host for his journey from adorable child star to global icon. The audience applauded. The host handed him a question card, smiling warmly. "Tommy, what do you say to the millions of kids who look up to you?" For a moment, Tommy grinned, that perfect rehearsed grin. But then, something flickered in his expression. His smile twitched, his eyes darkened, and into the microphone, in a low, chilling voice that silenced the studio, he said, "They shouldn't look up to me. They should be afraid of me." The crowd laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. But the host froze. Something in Tommy's voice wasn't acting. The footage went viral within hours. Clips spread across the internet. Some called it dark humor. Others said it was a brilliant marketing stunt. But a few people, especially those who had worked with him, recognized the truth in his words. Behind closed doors, Hollywood panicked. Producers worried about scandals. Agents scrambled to protect him. But no one dared confront Tommy. He was too powerful, too untouchable. And then came the final blow, the discovery that would haunt Hollywood forever. Months later, a new assistant was hired to work in Tommy's mansion. Young, eager, and clueless about the warnings. One night, while cleaning Tommy's private study, the assistant stumbled upon a hidden drawer. Inside were dozens of photographs. But these weren't fan photos. They were pictures of people, crew members, co-stars, assistants, people who had disappeared from Hollywood after crossing Tommy. Each photo had something carved into it. A slash across the face, eyes gouged out, names written in jagged letters. And at the center of the drawer was a photo of Marissa Rivers. His own mother. Her eyes scratched out. The word, gone, scrawled across her face. The assistant quit the next morning, refusing to speak about what they had seen. But rumors spread, quietly, secretly. The world never knew for certain what happened to Tommy Rivers after that. Some say he grew up and faded into obscurity, living in isolation. Others whisper he still walks among us, his smile unchanged, his darkness deeper than ever. But those who were there, the ones who saw the truth, agree on one thing. Tommy Rivers wasn't a victim of Hollywood. He wasn't just a troubled child star. He was evil, and he always had been.